Hey everybody, how y'all doing? Right now we were actually taking a look at our homeboy Fuzzy Paradox posting some of the standings for the premium Bushiroad Springfest of 2022 that just came out, and we're going to be talking a little bit about where we think that the ban list could probably go to, or the restriction list, as we were going to be accurately trying to describe it here. What cards could it possibly restrict for future involvement for better card releases so that we can have stronger cards be added to certain archetypes that can either give us a better understanding as to what we will probably need here. I brought up deck log so that we can take a look at some of the cards that have been released so far for premium, and we'll go through, try most of the clans here, some things that it can end up hitting. I'm gonna go completely left field with a whole lot of this, so you might not agree with a lot of it. So let's start off with Royals. Is there anything scary, big, scary, either in the G zone or in main deck that you could probably be worried about? We recently have the premium collection support that we've gotten, which is kind of nice. Not really, nothing too scary in here. The only thing you could probably say, Crystal Luster is kind of a boring card, so they could restrict it so that you can force players to try to be a bit more innovative and try to use different variations of the G zones. But sadly enough, since a lot of the cards that were played during G era have not been given new life or new mechanics in the current premium format, it's going to be kind of uncomfortable for a lot of Royal decks to be played outside of just playing MLB or MLB-like variants or Jewel Knights. Jewel Knights are also pretty good right now, so you can probably play that in premium. I don't see any hits to Royals outside of something like Crystal Luster to make it a little less boring. But again, that is very speculative. I don't see the largest fundamental error with it, other than it's a boring card. It's just a very boring card. It kind of does what it does. It does what it's on the tin. Alright, let's move over to Oracle Think Tank. Has Oracle Think Tank been scary recently? There is Momo that did kind of tear up the seam a little bit. You do have the combo deck kind of going around with OTT, where you kind of just loop Amaterasu over and over again. So you use Calico and stuff to search it up, and you use the it's a grade 2. I think it's a Mega's grade 2. It's just a grade 2. Let's see here if we can find so I can show it to you guys what I'm talking about. Is it this one? Let's see. It's got a card from your hand. No, this is not it. It's a 9K grade 2. Let's see if we can find it here for a sec. Let's see. Here we go. So we have Miko of the Round Moon Fuyo. It draws a card and choose a normal unit from your draw zone, put it on top of your deck so that you can use other skill that allows you to search. So like grade 3 searchers can then reveal the Amaterasu, you buy a card from the top, and you can start punking out your opponent by doing that. You keep on trying to loot these cards. There are ways to counter it of just either damage denying them until your grade 3 turn, until you're ready to go off. I try to make a lot of their turns a little bit less effective against you, so you can use their G Guardians, because when they go into their Ichikishima turn, it's going to be very difficult for you to stop them. I don't think that this is an issue yet, but I would keep my eye on this archetype for now. I don't think it'll be a big issue, but it's something that if a lot of the other cards are hit, that if meta becomes slower, something like OTT or OTT archetype could end up pushing a whole lot of pressure. And there's also the witches stuff too. Like the witches support are also kind of scary. You being able to stride and then go into your grade 3 turn, and plus having your Ichi skill still be active, because I think Ichi gives you the continuous skill until the guard restrict skill choose. So during your turn, your opponents cannot call cards from the G zone. So it gives you a skill for the rest of their turn as well. So you can end up riding your Witches card on top of this and still having a guard restrict on it. So this is kind of, it's kind of a sneaky archetype. So you need to watch out for a little bit. Alright, so let's move over to Angel Feather. Can Angel Feather do anything right now? No CL is currently one of the best variants of Angel Feather at the moment. Do any of the new strides change anything right now? This can with Harut, the Grade 2 from Angel Feather, which can Counter Blast 1. Let me see if I can show it to you real quick. See, Grade 2 9k. Here we go. So Harut, when this unit attacks a Vanguard, if this is boosted, pay the cost, look at the top 2 cards of your deck, search for one card from among them, put it into your damage zone face up, put the rest at the bottom of your deck, then choose a face-up card from your damage zone, call it a rearguard circle, and especially with the stride giving power to your front row, and Harut being in your front row there also allows her to push pressure for like 24 or 34k power. I personally don't think nothing needs to happen right now to Angel Feather. It's been years since they've been meta relevant, and I think it's okay. It's fine. Let them have this for now. I really like that United Sanctuary archetypes have been gotten a lot of good support, like OTT and Angel Feathers. They've been at the wayside for a very long time. Now they can finally play in the kindergarten with everybody. Is Broken Heart still Breaking Heart? Sadly enough, knows a Broken Heart is not as good as she used to be unless they come up with a control variant of Angel Feather, which can exist, I guess. But unfortunately, Nurse of Broken Heart is a bit too gimmicky. I don't know, maybe you can make it work by playing like 2 or 3 copies of it and put them in the back row. So whenever you take damage, you can kind of like get your front row or your Vanguard a little bit boosted up, but you're still suffering from the same issue, is that if you're only gaining like 2 to 3k, 2 to 4k every single damage trigger, your opponent can kind of pace their damage, or they're just hitting you for too much anyway. I think it will work against archetypes that do incremental damage, like one attack for like 15 to 16. Sometimes you can, if you have like smaller pokes like Nightmare Dolls, maybe Nurse can be pretty okay against it, but Nurse is not. It's not that impressive right now, sadly. So Angels, fine. Angels is fine for now. I don't think there's much issues with it. Let's see. Shadow Paladin. The Golden Boy. Him, Luard the homie. Shadows have been almost always meta relevant forever. almost. I will say almost again. In quotations for you guys, it's almost been meta relevant for a while, whether or not you've played Dragfall Luard, Drag Driver Luard, Drag Heart Luard, all those versions of it. There's always been a Luard version that's been kind of good, but with the inclusion of Skull Witch Nemain, the DB205 version of her, and now that you have her, she makes a lot of your first grade 3 drag driver turns a lot more scary. It does, however, make it so that you have to have an extra CB somewhere. You have to have an extra CB somewhere. So it's either your opponent is going to damage deny you, or your opponent is going to be very like has to be very wary of the plays that you're making. So until we get like Idola, which is the grade 3 from the Clan Collection support in the future, this is going to be one of the best ways that you can get a critical on your first grade 3 turn, especially when you go first. This card is scary. Does this need to be hit right now? I don't think so. Like, Luard is still going to be Dagda or die, but this gives them an extra layer of play, and they need to cut a Nemain, because you can't have 4 copies of the grade 1 Nemain if you want to run this, so you have to cut one. So it's fine. This card is Chef's Kiss. It's a really good card. So its skill is like, when this unit is placed on rearguard circle with your Vanguard, its clan is only Shadow Paladin, so you cannot have it mixed with something else. Has to be only Shadow Paladin. Put a card from your hand into your soul to draw 2 cards. So you can put one of your grade 3s, since if you're running the V version of Luard, which I personally think is the better version for myself, If you're running it, it allows your drag drivers the first skill, the original skill here, is that for if you have 2 or more grade 3 cards in your soul, and the original crit of all your grade 1s become 2. So you get way more explosive first turn plays, which makes your Dagda turns way more dangerous. It does cost a CB though, so you need to find out how you want to do this. It's gonna be kind of tricky. You could try to like use this skill to get a Charon, and then use that to get 2 grade 1s, one of them being the main. The main gets the main, and you have your Charons, and your CB is open. You put a second grade 3 into the soul, you get to draw 2 cards. You can kind of do some plays and pluses from there, so that's kind of okay. Is it going to be oppressive? We'll have to wait and see. It's a one of you're possibly going to run in the deck, and I don't think it'll I don't think it'll affect that much. It just makes the deck more explosive going first. Let's see. Gold Paladin. Golds. With the inclusion of Holy Shine Dragon that's going to be coming out soon, is Gold Paladin Gurgwit the clan going to be an issue? We'll have to wait and see about it. We'll have to wait and see, because Ezel has been hit to high heaven. He's not as strong as he used to be. There are some explosive builds with him still. Golds is still going to be golds. So getting high rolled on is par for the course, so that's something you need to keep in mind. Their first grade 3 turns are going to be always very strong. Is it going to be good? Is there anything that needs to be hidden here? I guess if you want to be safe, on a safe side, Percival is probably the only thing I could ever think of saying, hey, let's just, with Holy Shine Dragon coming out, let's just be on the safe side and hit Percival again, and not have them meet together at all, period. That's it. That's all I think about here. That's the only thing I can think about. G-Zone is fine. Unfortunately, there's very little use for the G-Zone at any given point in time. So then we have Genesis. Genesis has been fine. I actually I don't even want to get into Genesis. Genesis has been kind of okay. Like, you have the Regalia stuff, so maybe Norn, like maybe Norn to like 2 or Norn to 1 maybe. But it's been kind of, you need to have PGs. It's a game plan that you need to have, and I guess it can create some negative play experiences. But the only thing that can ruin that consistency for it is that you lower the Norn ratio. So you can reduce the amount of restands that Archetype can do. So cutting it to 1, cutting it to 2, or banning it entirely is some of the options that you can go for if you want to like be on this, err on the side of caution. But I don't think that's much of a problem. But then again, I've not played too much against it, and it's usually sort of one of those archetypes that you need to see it in action to really believe how dangerous it is. And I've not seen it much in action, but I know how dangerous that archetype can be in the right hands. Yeah, so Norn and CEO are possibly the things that they probably need to separate, like Dragon Balls. So, premium for Kagura. Do they need to do anything for Kagura here? The hand discard loop thing, I guess they can get rid of. Let me see here. This card. Where is it? There's the grade 3 that had in V Clan, one of the V Clan collections, or not an Overlord, but like just a random 13k grade 3. It's like, discard 5 cards. I'm trying to find it right now. It's like one of the grade 3s. Ah, there we go. Nazari. So this one here, the Dragon Knight Nazari, could possibly be an issue to create negative play experience. If your opponent chooses total of 6 cards in maze or hand, puts them into the drop zone, this unit gets plus 10k until end of turn, and you have to soul bats 3 grade 3s. You do have access to something like Eugene, and you do have like cards that do soul charge a plethora of grade 3s from your drop zone, or from your soul, or from your deck. You can achieve this relatively easily by first or second stride. this is going to be kind of scary to deal with, so maybe hitting this preemptively could be the right decision, possibly. It's either that or, you know, you'll probably be facing against a bunch of discard Kagero, so that's something. It's a pretty hard play to make, but I get it creates negative play experiences. It's very niche. It's a very niche deck that possibly could pop off kind of hard if it does. Not really. If you have Eugene, you can pop it off pretty easily, right? So you can use Eugene's skill. You can look at your top 5 of your deck, right? For how many cards of same number of cards that your opponent controls. And if you're playing against like a Kagero, right? Since you're playing Kagero, you can take a look at top 5 since they're not going to commit anything. Put them into your soul. Put all the extra grade 3s into your soul. Call Nazari. And since you're running like 12 to 13 grade 3s, or 14, 15 grade 3s, you can get this off on one of your first strides, on one of your first grade 3 turns, or second stride even. Yeah, so Eugene can get this relatively easy on the board for you. It's not as hard as you think. So this is the only interaction I can think of Kagero them hitting right now. That's it. That's really for me for that. Let's see here. Nubatama. They did hit this in JP, so I could see them hit this here in English as well. Where is it? Let me see. Call. What's his name? Yes, this. Stealth Rogue, a Precipitation Mizukaze. You could separate this from Yatagarasu, which is the other grade 3 that forces you to discard. It doesn't have it here. Let me see. It's a 11k grade 2. Grade 3, sorry. Yata. Unspecified. Yata. See? I'm gonna try and look for it. Give me a second, guys. Ah, there we go. This possibly could be a bit of an issue by Soul Blasting 3 and discarding Sentinels. You can farm Sentinels relatively easy with the Hanzo archetype. You can get protect markers relatively easy with this, and you can build the soul super easy by incidentally soul charging. There's also some of the other support that Dragon Empire has gotten, that if you're going to discard a card, you can soul charge it and put it into soul instead. There's a bunch of Nubatama stuff that builds soul really easy for you, so you can get this card off by your first or second grade 3 turn actually. If you're playing towards this as your win condition, this can get off pretty easy. And again, it creates like negative play experiences. I don't see a lot of Nubatama players where I live, BCSs or BSFs. So this popping off consistently, maybe in a one-player tournament, this could probably pop off a bit more often. I think they could probably put this to 1 or completely restrict it. Entirely up to them. It depends on the player experiences of the players that we have here. You probably might see players just building towards this as a win condition. It's relatively easy to get there. Not sure. Not sure at all. Because mixing it with Mizukaze could be a bit dangerous. Let's see. We have Tachikaze. So Tachikaze is a bit of a touchy one. Like a lot of people don't really even play Tachis. Like, a lot of people don't even touch Tachi really. And the people who do, I guess what you could possibly hit on the archetype is the 27k beat sticks. Where is it? These, like Savage Mercenary, you could have this out on your first grade 1 turn. If your whole archetype is based around this, you can kind of get these off relatively easy. You can say, well, hey, you need equip gauges to even attack with them or anything. That doesn't matter. What? On an Axel marker, these could hit for 32 on your opponent's first stride, and especially if your opponent's G-assisted, it's gonna be rough for them. So yeah, be careful with something like Savage Mercenary. It could get out of hand with this card. I don't know if you need to hit it just for this reason, but if I see a Tajikaze deck top multiple times, I'm not surprised if it's because of this card. But I don't think that it's the biggest issue. No, I don't think it's the biggest issue at all. Alright, so Murakumo, from what I understood, the new stride allows you to pop off super hard with Shiryuki. So the question is, do you want to then hit Shiryuki because of it being able to make abuse of a card like this? Especially reducing your opponent's power by like 50 million? I don't know, because Murukuma has not been relevant for a while now. But that's because of the last restriction list. Because of Nue Dayo being a menace to society. So you do need to be very careful when making cards like these. Because if you put Shiryukis down and you're attacking, especially if you're attacking to a 13k Vanguard, you can attack with one of your 12k on the rearguard circle, use your Shiryuki skill, and reduce their powers by like millions until end of turn, or until end of battle. Let me take a look. No, they don't need to take a hit. All I'm saying is, it's something you might want to keep an eye on. Let's see, minus until end of turn. Yes. So with like 3 to 4 CB, you can reduce your opponent's power by like 30k. 30 to 40k, depending on how much you have on a board. Of course, you eat through a whole lot of your CV because of it, but if your opponent's on like 5 to 6 damage, it doesn't matter. If they're gonna die on the same first turn, it quite literally doesn't matter. So it's something we'll need to keep your eye on. I don't think it's the biggest issue right now, but yeah, again, it's one of those archetypes. It's like, oh, that's topping a whole lot, and Murakuma's doing pretty nice, actually. Then don't be surprised if it's topping. So, another archetype that could be, you know, tapped a little bit for me is Stunverse the Clan. Stunverse is the archetype that you can play around. It came out a while ago now. Conquering Supreme Dragon, Stunverse Dragon. I don't think it's overpowered or imbalanced. I think it creates, again, this is going to be a reiterated statement by me, it creates situations where your opponent is not enjoying themselves or having fun. Would you want to do something about this? Play better around it. You can relatively make the first turn of this archetype relatively bad, especially if you're pushing their hand as well too, which can actually make their hand worse to stride with, even if they might be binding like 2 to 3 cards away from you, or 4 to 5 cards are going to like 7, gaining a card away from your hand or something. You could make their first strides pretty bad. You could. But now is the thing that happened here is that they brought out this, which is when this is placed on a Vanguard circle, Soul Blast 1, draw a card for each of your opponent's open rare guards. So if you're playing Axel Clan, you're like, man, I really don't want to give you anything. And don't call anything. And especially if you made a bunch of Axel markers, they're going to draw like 4 or 5 cards from that. That's tough. And also give power to your front row when your opponent doesn't commit anything. It punishes you not for commit anything, and Stunverse punishes you for committing something. So that's awful. It creates a very awful experience of a feedback loop. You're like, ah, well, damn. Like, Narus are fundamentally going to be one of the very, very scary decks to deal with, be it any version. There's Dumjid, there is, not Dumjid, what's his name again? One second, there's Vanquisher, there's Eradicator, and there's the other one. What's his name again? Give me a second. He's a 17k base. There we go. Dungaree. When we have Dungaree, because him being a 17k base is also pretty based. Yeah, Dungaree. Being 17k base makes it almost impossible for your opponent to push pressure against you. In combination of them having to commit cards and you also drawing a whole bunch of cards, I do feel that this archetype is going to be very, very, very strong in the future. So, you know, I don't think it'll be completely overpowered or anything. I just think you gotta really play a lot of matches against it to see whether or not it's, you know, it's not gonna hurt you. So we have Nova Grappler. The deck is Busted or Bust. And the best archetype of version of it is that you have Blau, Biz Deities, and Victor. Do the strides do anything? Does this stride do anything? Not really. It's a payoff that possibly could pop off, sure. But this is only good when you get your OT off, or you know that you still have your OT off. But if you're going to do that, you might as well go into Busted. I personally can't really see a reason that any of the cards in this archetype can get hit at all, like ever. When Dungaree wears them dungies, exactly. I don't see it. I don't really see it. So Novas is a no. Dimensional Police. Could they hit Dimensional Police? I feel that Dimensional Police also does not need to. It's one of the very few control archetypes that we have in Stargate, outside of something like Link Joker, which also is hurting. It's also super, super hurting hard. Since you might think, well, but Dimensional Police is just like control. How is it a control deck? It's damage control. It's there's different versions of what control can be, and having something like this, especially with the new strides, makes the deck a whole lot. Hitting Dieliner, I don't see it. I don't see why. Like, why would you want to hit one of the only reasons you can actually get away with playing D-Robos right now in Premium? I don't see it. I don't see it. It's weird. I feel like it makes the deck super tanky. There's a lot of decision trees in building. It's very rewarding to play. I don't really see it. Like, okay, the card that I could probably see can be a bit of an issue is Taser. This card here, Aurora Battle Princess Taser Lage. She can be kind of annoying because her skill is front row. When your opponent's rear guard is placed from other than from hand, rest that unit, and you can choose to activate this skill since the once per turn. But they killed decks out of nowhere before. Yeah, that's true. That's true. So this card could be kind of scary. This one here, especially in the Robo. Yeah, Taser Lag. It's a pretty awesome tech that you could play in that archetype. There's also one of the new D cards from set 5, I think. The one that retires. Let's see. There's also the grade 3 that retires. This one here. Cool-headed Executor Mikani. Also something that you could see in the archetype. I don't think it needs to be hit, but being able to retire problematic rearguard could be kind of nice. Watch out for lagging tasers. Exactly. Let's see. Outside of that, I don't see it. I don't see a reason why you should. If maybe in testing with future support, they saw, damn, that's actually a little bit too strong. And then Link Jokers, we can kind of skip over Link Jokers because, come on. I skipped over Link Joke because come on, guys. The thing, my personal gripe that I have right now for is Hellhard and Distride. So Distride can get the boot for me. Don't know why they printed this card. This is basically a Hellhard on the first stride. It's kind of insane. I don't get it. I really don't get it. But you know, it is what it is. It's fine. It's okay. It's fine. It's just so dumb. It's so dumb. It's such a dumb card, but it's fine. Let me see. Does he need to flip anything? He doesn't need to even flip anything. Thank God. Not even mentioning the reverse decks? No. What's to mention about it? Oh, you have Glendios back. Shrug. You have Glendios again, guys. And now he's playable in Premium. Yeah. Nice. Nope. It doesn't matter. Like, there's too many things that counters it, or too many easier ways to play around it. As long as you're not forcing me to call cards in my hand, I don't really need to care. And if you're playing the cards that do force cards out of my hand to lock, then I am going to either unlock them or bash your face in only with my Vanguard. It's basically a oh anyway sort of deal. It's like, oh, okay, that card you're playing only has 5k shield. Alright, I'm gonna attack you with like 27 or 38. Alright, you didn't need to guard this with 20k shield to 30k shield. It's still a big issue. Pale Moon. Oh no, actually, Dark Irregulars. What can be problematic in Dark Irregulars? Not really anything. I guess Damp Hood? No, Hope on Damp? Hope and Damp can be kind of scary, but that's all they have right now, so they're fine. Dark Regulars are fine. Pale Moon. Let's take a look at Pale Moon here for a sec. We have the Nightmare Dolls stuff. What could be hidden here? I don't think... A lot of people say, don't hit Leslie, leave Leslie alone. Hit Ginny. I guess you could hit Ginny. Ginny is probably like with the crux of the deck. If Ginny get hit, the deck doesn't combo as hard, and you need to commit extra counterblast so that you can get the multi-attack off. Leslie, if you end up hitting Leslie, then you still are in a situation that Alice gets to get called out, but you only get to attack with Alice. You don't really get to call anything else that's good off of the Alice. So you could hit Jenny, you could hit Leslie. Either of them are fine. Yeah, either of them are fine. I think a lot of people will say hit Genie because they still want to be able to play with here. That possibly could get hit. There's also like Brenda, but Brenda's like once per turn, right? Put in a soul, choose up to one work away from his soul, call it, and then when this unit is pushed from his soul, choose a card and call it to rear. This kind of works sort of like Ginny, but also not really. So I guess you need to keep your eye on Brenda then. It's always a Brenda. Alright, so yeah, that's kind of it for now. Everything else in Pale Moon is kind of safe-ish. With Gear Chronicle, do they need to get hit with anything? Not really. They have the Steam Maidens, that's kind of strong. You have Time Leap, that's kind of hit or miss. It's basically a Dagda or die situation with a History Maker. They can kind of do some plays without it, but History Maker kind of is the bread and butter of the deck. What else? What's this? There's also the Mystery Flare combo. That one's kind of cute. I like that a lot. Outside of that, there's not really much. There's not really much of an impressive thing about the archetype. Let's see, there's Grand Blue. What could get touched in Grand Blue? What do we feel Grand Blue is kind of getting away with? I guess looping Skull Dragons a whole lot, or like building their whole deck around it. There's also Scare Deck Turbo. They could also do something about that. Could do something about that. But then there's another archetype within Stoicheia they'll have to take care of first if you want to get rid of something like Scare Deck. Let me show you what the card I mean, because then what's the point of a deck log? Here we go. So we have Seabed Demon Beast Scare Deck. Its skill is as follows. If your drop zone has 30 or more cards, discard all cards in your hand, and this unit gets 30k plus crit until end of turn. It becomes 42 on its own. It's also the G zone. So then with the new grade 3, the new grade 4 that we've gotten, its continuous skill is as follows. If your drop zone has 30 more cards, when your opponent would call cards from the hand to Guardian Circle, they must call 3 or more cards at the same time. So in combination with this, with Scare Decks, you're like, huh, that's just 2 attacks. It's a bit more. So with the combo deck, you basically play like 1 copy of Magnolia, 1 to 2 copies of Magnolia, which allows you to attack from the back row, but there's also a grade 2. So you play this Magnolia, and then you play a grade 2. That needs Magnolia as your Vanguard. So then you play a couple copies of Daimaru, which allows you to attack from the back row with it. So you choose one of your back row units. So you have the quad Scare Deck combo. It is a whole lot of pieces. You're like, man, this seems so inconsistent. It's not. It's Grand Blue. You have access to cards like Colombard, which is a grade 2 that can send a card from your deck to your drop zone, and you can call it, and then you can call it back. Superior call a card from your drop zone. So you can have access to Damaru relatively easy with CB. It's a full-on combo. So if your opponent survives it, you're possibly dead. But by that time, with this grade 4, they kind of guarantee the combo now. It's kind of guaranteed, which is a bit annoying. Because then you could also attack with the Scare Decks, right? There's Scare Decks in the back row, have the ones on the front row still active, and then, or you could attack with the ones in the front row, call Skull Dragons out, and then the Skull Dragons will be able to attack the Vanguard as well with the extra CB that you could possibly have. Or you can then restand the Scare Decks as well, and it still has Guard Restrict on them. Yeah, so yes, this can become a bit of a problem if it's left unchecked. Okay, it creates gameplay situations where it's like, well, there's also a Superior Ride engine in Grand Blue, so you can play the Samurai Spirit combo as well, which is the crit trigger of grade 1 and the grade 3, which allows you to Superior Ride. And there's also Spirit Exceed too, so you can get a Superior Ride off with that, so you can get Scare Deck combo off of that too as well. So yeah, you have multiple ways of getting the Superior Ride off in Grand Blue. What about Bermuda Triangle? I would say the Riviere Superior Ride stuff. All the Riviere Superior Ride stuff can be kind of problematic, especially with the new G unit. I understand that she does give second wind to premium Bermuda, that you don't have to play Highlander anymore. But Highlander is the only way, the only archetype that has ever really been played for like the past year or so. I don't really think that like a lot of it needs to be touched. I would only just ask that it keep an eye on the Riviere stuff. That's all I ask. Keep an eye on the Riviere stuff, because if a lot of people are just playing Superior Ride Riviere to just get an extra force marker, and then they go into like Prism after, or Ange, that can get kind of scary. Yeah, very scary. Yeah, or if you're mixing it with Highlander, just a whole bunch of extra extending plays that you can do, especially with Q-Tire. Q-Tire is a possibility you might want to take a look at in Premium. Maybe nerfing that or getting rid of it entirely creates a healthier environment for Bermuda Triangle to thrive. Aquaforce, do they need to be hit with anything? Not really. They're barely getting support as is. Leave them live. I don't really see much problematic things in archetype yet. Alright, so now the big bad. The biggest bandito. Biggest bad right now. Let me see. So I can bring it up for you. So this is grade 3. Right? Where is he? There we go. Fabricated Dragon of Ruination. When this unit is placed on Vanguard Circle, choose a normal order from your drop zone. If you play it, and you may play it without paying a cost. So you combine this with the Create Elemental order. Not Create Elemental. Let's go with this instead. Normal order. So you combine it with the Ingenious Tactics Book of Strong Arming, which is draw 3 cards and 3 of your front row units gets plus 10k. That is kind of nuts with a card like this, and especially if you're playing stuff like Shadow Cloak, for example. Shadow Cloak is a grade 2 card that is primarily played in Zorga. So all card types. So this card here, it sends when this unit is placed on rearguard circle from hand. So thankfully you can like bring it back to do extra stuff. Search your deck for 1 order card, reveal it, and if your drop zone does not have a card of the same name as the card, discard the reveal card and shuffle your deck. So you basically send it to your drop zone since you only play like 1 copy or 2 copies of the Strong Arming. Drawing 3 cards per re-ride is kind of insane because you're doing it for the Persona ride. You get to draw a card plus 10k continuous for the turn. So when you stride, you keep the continuous plus 10. So when your Vanguard attacks, you're attacking for 38 instead of just the base 28, and plus all your rear guards are attacking for 10 more as well. Plus you drew 3 cards, and plus you're also going into something like Gridora, which is the Gridora Stride. Where is she? Where is she? She is the bane of many people's existence. She is a Counterblast 1 act. Once per turn, your opponent's units do not restand, so including their Vanguard does not restand as well, and your opponent also cannot call anywhere else other than from hand. So you can't use an injury guard when its units is attacking as well either. So this is also pretty rough. You can't call from soul, you can't call from drop zone, you can't call from deck, nowhere else other than from hand. And when it attacks, you can Soul Blast 1 to be able to call a grade 3 from your own deck to rearguard circle. And most of your other grade 3s that you're playing in this archetype are let's see. It doesn't have that. Let's see. Stand. There you go. They don't have it like written specifically. Okay, there we go. So when you play cards like Intrude Scissors, that is when this is placed, choose 1 of your rear guards and stand it gets plus 10k. So you're playing a bunch of like grade 3 cards like that, and Hell Demise, which also restands the other stuff as well while resting your other units, plus keeping your opponent's stuff from restanding and stuff by your Vanguard effect. So you're gonna have to have a completely separate grade 3, and then your Vanguard is also gonna be subjected to a whole lot of that. Like so it has a whole bunch of layered effects that keep your opponent from playing the game. It is fundamentally the ultimate form of a control deck. You don't have to stride into Gridora every single turn. You can also whittle your opponent's hand down enough that you can go into your other strides like Overwhelm or Optorandus, or even into, I don't know, what else? Your GB8, because your GB8 sometimes you can actually go into that sometimes. Which gives your rear guards a whole bunch of extra power and stuff. So you have so many, you have vast amounts of options in comparison to what your opponent can do. You basically have free reign, and it's just when your opponent lets you stride, and that's kind of insane. I don't know if something like this should be staying around in a meta for much longer, because as you've seen, for some of the premium tournaments in all over the world, Order Colony, whenever it's played in a team somewhere, it's topping. It's always gonna be topping somewhere. It's gonna be topping here. So let's take a look. So let's see. So it's a free premium. Let's take a look here. There's also, oh, it turned into a singles, right? Top 3. Oh, that's kind of cool. Fairy. Okay, it's nice. But let's show you guys here for a second, so I can break this down so you guys can see it for yourself. So Vietnam Premium. Wow, that's surprising. Okay. Where is it? Here we go. So we have here in Mexico, there's one here already in the top 4. So they have one in Mexico already. There's one here in Indonesia. We're trying to find like all the sample sizes of what tournaments that are played here. There's one in Malaysia. There's 2 in Malaysia actually, so that's 4 already. And we're also not even going over like the overview of how many people have brought it to tournaments already. So then there's Malaysia already top 4, Indonesia top 4 has 1, there's 2 here, there's 4 there. They're sprinkled all over the world. Right? There's tournaments that have won them already, so you can see the premium top 4 for Singapore, the finalists already, so you can see here that for Texas, 4 order colonies. Everybody had 1 order colony on their team. It's just kind of ridiculous. It's very ridiculous as an archetype, as an order colony. So they'll need to do something about it. I don't know what it is. Whether or not they'll try to separate the order from the grade 3, that still means you can still play it, but it'll be less as good. So you'll just be playing either Gridora, the old G Gridora, the old grade 3 one. So here you go. So you could possibly play like this one, which locks out your opponent's chances of calling anything down there. And then sure. Or you can hit Gridora herself, the actual stride, the grade 4, which then creates a way healthier environment, possibly. And this would be like the 3rd stride, or 4. This would be like the 2nd or 3rd stride that ended up hitting from the same clan collection, the premium collection they brought out. Time to make a spreadsheet. No, but I mean, when BCSs come around, or BROs come around, Order Colony is going to be a prevailing factor, I think, in most of the archetypes. It's going to be a very big deal. And I don't know how healthy the format is going to be, where all of the top 8 is just going to be Gridora mirrors. I refuse. I refuse. I love her artwork. I like her concept, but her playstyle can sometimes be a little sticky, a little icky. Great Nature. Does Great Nature anything need to happen to that archetype? Not really, no. They have Rhino. They have Talented Rhino. And sure, that has a bit of guard restrict on it. Meh, it's fine. Near Nectar. Near Nectar barely has any support. Leave it alone. Token Rambo. Also, same. Bang Dream. Also, no, leave it alone. But for the main set clans, leave off at Near Nectar. Nothing else, really. Yeah, basically, yes. It'll be that. A lot of the meta will be basically that. It's like, you're playing BCS? What are you playing? Order Colony, sick, sick, sick. Flip over a starter, bugs. Flip over a next starter, bugs. Yes. My pain. Nice. I'm just gonna be playing Victor. It doesn't matter to me. Either way. But that's all I'm saying. I think Order Colony is probably one of the biggest. The other ones that I mentioned in Kagero or in Genesis, like Norn, for example, those are all like supplementary hits that are like, those could possibly be an issue if Order Colony leaves. You know, people are always going to gravitate toward the best decks, even though that is also not really a correct ideology that you should be following. There are archetypes that can do pretty well, like Thavas, for example. Like, all the archetypes that you see here in Premium can do relatively well, like Liner, Nightmare Dolls can do pretty well. Maybe they can hit something. Nightmare Dolls, of course. There's the Q-Tire stuff. There's Gurgwit. There's Jewel Knights. Jewel Knights do pretty well. There's Stunverse Turbo. Stunverse is something that you could probably take a look at a little bit. There's Granblue that still does pretty well. There's Tachikaze that does well. Like, there's a bunch of stuff that still does well enough, you know? But it's just not a lot of people are creative enough to... I keep on saying it as an insulting thing. I see it in a way that Premium is it's a new and a very old format. It's new in the sense that a lot of the people who are playing it, who do play it at tournaments, are saying usually that they don't play it that often, so they're still like new to some of the fundamentals of it. But it's also the fact that it's old in a sense that it's existed for like close to 4 or 5 years now. 4 to 5 years now, and you know, it's still like very, very like it has very little research in it so far. Very little people have researched into finding decks that are good, fun, and consistent. Not a lot of people are testing anything. So, you know, it is what it is. It's fine. So, with that being said, be awesome, stay awesome, guys. Have a wonderful day. Thank y'all for tuning in and stopping on by. This has been JJ with another video. Take care.
I love you. In other words, I love